Hi, good morning. Um, so, and I believe this is the first video that I'm going to that I am actually made for the first year students. So, this is a really difficult time for us because we have to deal with the remote learning method. And you might be wondering if what's the reason why Sir Ika did not make any videos at all. Now, the reason for that is because there is an already prepared module, and the administration requires for us to have a module. So, but back then, I mean last year, so what I'm doing in my lectures is that I'm preparing a video for them and then uploading it to YouTube for them to view. And you know that is somehow I think that way of teaching is not really approved by the Vice President for Academic Affairs, and that's a real shame because the reason why modules are not effective, because I always tell my students the reason why modules are not effective is because it doesn't have a mount. Okay, so I think I'm not well properly introduced to. So I'm one of the faculty here in the electrical engineering. I'm not actually an old teacher. I'm just a new one. Probably staying here in the engineering for about less than 2 years. So it's quite a new experience for me in the teaching. But before I became an engineer, um, okay, before became an engineer, I I was once a call center employee. So I was a sales representative for Magic Jack. Okay, so this is my first company, Magic Jack. So what I'm doing in Magic Jack is I'm talking to U.S. and Canadian citizens, and then selling them this stuff that you see here. Okay, so aside from the device that I'm selling over the phone, I'm also selling the promos like 12 months of service, 46, like 5 years of plan, and whatsoever, so on and so forth. So so I'm an electrical engineering graduate, and then suddenly after graduating, I but before that one, what's really interesting is when I graduate, it's not really a smooth transition. So when I say that, it's not really easy for me because first of all, um, I did not graduate on time. So I failed one subject in college. So I failed in integral calculus. So yeah, I failed in that subject, and um, that totally stressed me out. So I was at some point of my time that I am thinking and then finally deciding to shift to another course. But then I realized that I have to fight for it. I have to fight for my course. So I told my mom. So yeah, I'm deciding to shift. But then my mother asked me, "Is that really your decision?" So with further contemplation and then thinking, then yeah, okay. So what the hell? So kung bagsak, edi bagsak, and then ulit. So after that major downfall, I learned how to be independent, and then I started to fight for my studies, and then I finally let go of the things that distracts me from studying. I so after that, I'm really determined to finally finish the course, to graduate. So I focused on my studies because I know what it feels like to fail in the subject. Okay, and I really hope that you don't have to wait for that moment to happen. Okay, you don't have to wait for you to fail, then you suddenly realize that you have to study. So that's the reason why I'm telling you this, because failing in the engineering course is pretty normal. It's pretty normal. Okay, so you don't have to think that it's yeah, well, failing one subject, one to two subject, and five subject is the end of the world for you. No, that's not gonna be it, because because the real battle is not inside the university. It's not inside the classroom. It is it is actually after you graduate, what comes next. And that's the battle, because you're not competing with the subjects anymore. So when you graduate, you are competing with yourself, you are competing with other graduates, you are competing with other people, not just graduates, because you're currently fighting for a job, you are fighting for an opportunity. Okay, so I think the reason why you want to become an engineer is because you see yourself as an engineer in the future. Okay, now going back to the subject, going back to the topic really is, so what am I doing this? I'm doing this because there's has been no proper introduction between you and me. Now going back, I was a call center agent, then I finally decided that I have to resign because what the hell am I going to do this all my life? So I I take the board and then that's it. And here I am. So okay. So yeah. So what I'm going to show you is is the answer key for the for your major exam. So I'm going to tell you I'm going to tour you on the exam. So the exam that I provided is, I think it's not shuffled. So the question number one for each of you is the same. So I think you probably copied answers from one another. It's quite easy for you to cheat in the online sessions, I know. So, but one of the questions I provided is really on the learning guide. Okay, it's actually here on the learning guide I gave you. Okay. Now, bakit may learning guide, sir? Because we're required to give you a learning guide. Now, why didn't you give us a video, sir, in the first place? Well, I didn't give you the video in the first place because, well, they required us to do the modules. Okay. Now, as again, contents of the learning guide here. Please save this. You're going to and please, what I suggest is you save this, and then after graduating, you read it again, and then I think you will have a different perspective, and you're going to realize that what I'm saying here in this learning guide is actually true. Okay, so you do that after you graduate. Okay, so the first question is, the Board of Electrical Engineering has administrative control of the profession because you have to regulate the profession. Now, why do you have to regulate a profession? You have to regulate it because not everyone should be an engineer. Okay, there should be a standard. Not everyone should be like this. It shouldn't be free. You're not free to become whatever you want, and that's basically true. You're not free to become president of the Philippines because there's only one president of the Republic of the Philippines. So that's basically the sense. But controlling the professional practice is difficult. But you have to understand that it is important to control the profession itself. So the key is, kapag mas maliit yung population ng profession, it means it is difficult, obviously. So, take for example, law, okay? Bar exam. Bar exam is so difficult that only a few people pass. Okay? So, for example, 100,000 ang take na exam and only 1,000 pass the exam. So, that makes the practice of law lucrative, and that's what makes the practice of law, nakapasa ako sa bar exam, so I'm good. So parang ganon. Okay, so I'm not going to point out, I'm not going to mention any profession. Okay, hayaan ko na kayo doon. So that's the reason why you have to regulate it. So the EE board is composed of only one chairman and 2 members. Okay, remember that, only one chairman and 2 members. As for the RA 7920, so that's the practice of the electrical engineering. Okay, so the highest EE practitioner is the PEE. Okay, PEE, or the professional electrical engineers, are the superior. Okay, so followed by REE, which is me. I have an REE license, and followed by the RME at the bottom. Now, The only distinction between PEE and REE is that the PEE can sign the plan. Okay? So, direct to the point na agad ako. If you are thinking of becoming kaya siguro kayo nag-electrical engineering because you want to design and seal plans because sinabihan kayo na magulang nyo na, yeah, malaki ang kita kasi pag engineer ka, gumagawa ka ng plan, binabayaran ka sa plan. That's actually not the case in electrical engineering. And also in mechanical engineering sometimes. Okay? Because the only ones who are authorized to sign and seal plans are only the PEE. Unlike architects and civil engineers. So, architects and civil engineers can immediately sign documents when they pass the board exam. Okay, so that's the difference. So, yeah. So, it's a real shame, really. So, you have to be a professional electrical engineer first before you can seal and sign. And that's actually the only difference between PEE and REE. Okay? Well, how about the RME? RME is if you're going to look at the RA 7920, okay, RME is more on practicing the installation, operation, and wiring and maintenance and repair. And there is a distinction in the voltage, so you have to look that one out. So there is a clear difference between REE and RME. Okay, so question number 3. The design of a transmission tower depends on the length of wires. Yes, because, okay, let me draw that one for you. Oh, no, not this one. Okay. Okay. Because the reason for that is that because the resistance of wire, this is the wire, the resistance of wire is dependent on the resistivity of the material itself multiplied by the length divided by the area. Okay, so what this means in mathematical sense is that the resistance of the wire is directly proportional to the length. So it means that when the resistance is high, also the length is also high. However, okay, the resistance becomes low when the area is high. So when the area is high. So what does it mean? Okay, this means only one thing. The longer the wire, the higher the resistance. And we don't want a high resistance. Why? Because the resistance of the wire limits the amount of power that can be passed. So, yeah, so it's quite easy that way. Okay, so the design depends on the length of the wire and the line voltage. So, again, as I already mentioned in the learning guide, the design of the tower depends on the voltage as well. So, the bigger the tower, the bigger the voltage. Yun lang. Okay? So, it depends on the length and the voltage. And there are actually 3. Okay, so there are short, medium, and long transmission lines. And in terms of the voltage, there is a low, medium, high, extra high. Yeah. So, I already discussed that in the learning guide. So, which of the following is not the scope of practice of electrical engineering as stated in RA 7920? Now, okay. So, Sir Ikal, bakit ka po nagtuturo? Bakit hindi ka po nasa field of practice? Bakit hindi ka po nandun sa construction? Okay. So, the reason for that is because, I want to teach. Yeah, I want to teach. Anong point? Wala akong point. Okay, so letter A, teaching of electrical engineering professional subjects. This is a scope of electrical engineering. So that's why we are called engineer here, because we practice electrical engineering, because we teach subjects. Okay, letter B is supervision of erection, not direction yung malande. Installation testing. This is the scope. Yes. The answer is letter C, because it is not explicitly mentioned in the RA 7920 that you can, you can manufacture, test, and service electrical home appliances. Come on, duh. Because that's not really the point. I mean, electrical engineers know how to repair electrical appliances, but that's not their job. Okay, that's not their job. So it doesn't mean that you are repairing home appliances, aircon, you are repairing you are repairing electric fan, you're repairing TV, you're repairing washing machine. It doesn't make you an engineer. Doesn't make you an engineer. Okay, it's because anyone can repair that. Anyone can do that. So that's the reason why it's not a part of scope of electrical engineer. I hope that's clear now. That the answer is letter C. Okay? So may mga nagkakamali dyan, magbasa-basa kayo, pakiusap. So which of the following is used to express the capacity rating of a transformer? Now, this is not in the learning guide, but this is one of the questions that I put to test if you are curious enough. Okay, so what am I saying? Example of electrical pole transformer. Okay, so let's look at an example of electrical pole transformer. Ooh. Okay, so I see one. Okay, you see the 25? Okay, the question is, what's that 25? Is that voltage? Is that current? Is that power? Well, that's why you have to ask Google for that one. I'm not going to give you the exact answer right away. Rating of transform, because you can ask Google, come on. Machines, not that one. KA. Wait. KVA. Okay, so that's KVA. KVA is, yeah, the transformer. So whenever you see this one, so it means it's 25 kVA. Now, sir, why not watts? You will learn that one in the higher version of EE. So that could be on the 3rd year, 4th year. So I hope that Sir J can will explain it to you. Okay, so that's the rating of a transformer. It's not in watts. Okay, it's in kVA. Because there are 3 kinds of power. We have watts, we have the real power, we have the reactive power, and we have the apparent power. So this is the reason why it's quite tricky, but you will learn that in the higher years of EE. So real, apparent, reactive power. So there are 3 types of power. So real, reactive, and apparent. Okay, so let's close this one. So the answer is kVA. Okay, so the transmission of electricity over long distances was made possible using transformers because increasing the voltage reduces the amount of power losses due to line resistance. Well, you can say that transformers are efficient in delivering power using the transmission lines, but that is not really the exact answer. What transformers do is that they transform from low to high voltage, and that what basically makes the system work. Because if you can't do that, even if you are efficient, and you can't do this increasing and decreasing of voltage, so what's the point? Okay, so the exact answer here is that you increase the voltage in order for you to reduce the losses in the wire. So this is called the interconnection of power plants, transmission towers, several. So yeah, it's gonna be the grid, electric grid. It's not a web. Okay. So which of the following does not determine the energy consumption? So maraming sagot dito. Okay. So kung sumagot kayo ng Brad, yeah, you're right. So sumagot kayo endorser, you're also right. And when you say seller, it's also right. Now, Wattage is true. Yes. The frequency is also true. It affects the energy consumption. The current, obviously, and the voltage, yes. And the age. Now, sir, bakit kasama ang age? Di ba, sir, age doesn't matter? Oh. Well, hindi sa machines, okay? Every time, when a machine grows old, it consumes more power because it needs, kasi tumatanda yung equipment. And equipments need maintenance. That's the reason why equipment needs maintenance. For example, if you talk about washing machine, so when the age of the washing machine is 5 years, it's not really efficient anymore because the machine is the motor itself is already rusting. So it's not gonna be efficient. So the energy consumption of appliances can be determined by its age. So ganun din sa sasakyan, di ba? Mas malakas kumain ng gasolina ang matandang sasakyan kaysa sa bagong sasakyan. So what do you call the conductor that connects the utility pole? Okay, so this is the service drop. Okay, so saan ang service drop dito sa learning guide? Yeah, so ito. So this is the overhead or service drop. So from the pole to your house, and that's the wire. So malalaman nyo rin sa higher years na meron lang certain amount of length in meters kung saan yun lang ang maximum na pwedeng ibigay sa iyo ng Chelco. Dito sa Romblon, magkaiba naman yan eh. Magkakaiba sa bawat distribution. Magkaiba sa Meralco, iba sa Chelco, iba sa Romelco. So, which of the following is not the right reason for a brownout? Okay, yung whatever dyan. So, sana malinaw na. Or whatever. So, number 1 is all people uses aircon. Okay, brownout. So, I already discussed to you in the learning guide what's the difference between brownout and blackout. Okay. Brownout, blackout. What's the difference? Now, the brownout is high demand for power. So, yun yung sinabi ko yung load shedding. So, for example, mataas ang demand ng kuryente sa tablas. So, hindi kayang ibigay ng generators ng Suweco, kaya ang gagawin, magbabawas ng load. When I say magbabawas ng load, yun yung load shedding. So, pipiliin by priority anong bayan sa tablas ang pwedeng i-brand out. So, doon pumapasok yung rotational brand out. So, for example, ang San Andres 1 to 2 hours brand out, and then sa susunod naman Calatrava naman, then San Agustin. So, ganon. So, brand out is not yung brand out na ganon. So, yung total brand out. So, for example, tama ba sir kapag sinabi mong brand out? That can be true. That can be true or not true. Because pwedeng blackout. Pwedeng blackout. Or pwede talagang brand out. Okay. So, pwede rin naman power interruption. So, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na brand out. Kasi, paano kapag power interruption lang? Paano kapag blackout? Paano kung blackout na? Ganon. So, I think medyo may problema ang Pilipino pagdating sa terminologies, no? So, kapag nawala ng kuryente, huwag mo sabihin na ganun brand out. Sabihin mo lang, walang kuryente. Ganon. Para malinaw. Okay. So, the difference, again, as already mentioned in the learning guide, brand out kapag mataas ang demand. So, dun yung load shedding. Okay. Power interruption, kapag merong butiki or tuko na dumikit sa linya. Yan ang power. Ibig sabihin, a gecko is not a reason for brand out because it is power interruption. Gecko is a power interruption. So, all people uses aircon. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng tao biglang magbubukas ng aircon. So, ibig sabihin, mataas ang power, mababa ang supply. So, brand out. So, for example, kapag may concert si Lady Gaga at BTS, syempre yung mga tao, pupunta doon isang lugar. Tapos, for example, ang concert na sa Calatrava. So, mangyayari, pupunta din yung mga tao sa Calatrava, tapos laki yung demand ng Calatrava kasi yung kuryente, maglalagay na malaking ilaw, malaking tunog. So, hindi yun normal sa Calatrava, ha? Kaya mangyayari, brownout. Pwedeng mangyari yun. Okay? So, hindi siya blackout. Okay, so whatever is the reason, whatever reason for... So, which of the following is not, so whatever. So, Yeah. So, makikipag-argue pa siguro yung iba. So, which of the following is the main reason why supply and demand of electricity is monitored? So, maraming sagot dito. So, letter A is not the answer. But, yeah, obviously, it's the money. But, it's not the reason why. Okay, it's not the reason why. So, to keep the voltage stable, well, yeah. Yeah. To keep the supply stable, also yes. So, maraming sagot dito. To prevent blackout, yes, also yes. To keep the frequency stable, yes. Okay. To keep the demand in check, not really. Okay. To keep the current stable, no. Obviously, this is not an answer. And this is not an answer. You might be confused to this one. But the obvious answers is, of course, the voltage, the supply, the blackout, and the frequency. Okay? So how many types of electric consumers? We have three. So we have the residential, we have the commercial, and industrial. So we have three consumers. So kay the insulator string, nabigay ko na sa learning guide kung ano yan. Yeah, the insulator string. Kung di mo pa nakuha ang sagot, ewan ko na lang. So registered electrical engineer has the authority to seal electrical plants. This is false. Again, that's the distinction between PEE and REE. So under the ethical standards of EE practice, it is okay to seal? No, it's not okay to seal and sign on behalf. Okay, on behalf. For example, may asawa ka, or let's say, ako, friend ko for example, si Jay, si Sir Jay nyo ay PEE, tapos friend ko siya, pwede ko masabi, pwede ba ako ang pumirma dito sa PEE? No. So, PEE lang dapat ang pumirma. Kung sino yung PEE, siya ang pipirma. Yun lang. Okay? So, I guess that's the review for the major exam. Come on. So, I'm really confused why some of you have difficulty answering. Probably because you are so busy in other subjects. So, baka nakakalimutan nyo ni Sir Ikal, nakakalimutan nyo yung subject ko, but it's okay. I totally understand that. I totally understand. Okay. Now, going back to the question at hand. So, why did you select EE? Okay, so there are a lot of reasons why. Probably based on experience, probably due to the peers, or due to the family reasons, or you just don't know yet. You're undecided. Okay, if you are undecided why you choose EE as your field of practice, let me tell you one thing. EE is one of those versatile field of engineering, because you can go to any field in the engineering. If you are in EE, you can go anywhere. You can go to air, you can go to space, you can go to ship, you can go to ports, you can go to offices. You can go anywhere. Why? The reason for that is because EE is not so really different from computer engineers, ITs, not different from that one. Now, what I can tell you is that what's the problem and what's the difference? Now, EE in its sense is the mother of majority of the technology. As already mentioned in the learning guide, in the chapter or the lesson 1, dito nang galing yung ibang field. Dito nang galing ang computer science, dito nang galing ang IT, dito nang galing ang computer engineering, dito nang galing electronics, dito nang galing ang communication. Sa EE nagsimula talaga ang lahat. Okay? So that is the reason why this field is very versatile. That is true. However, since nag-evolve na yung ibang courses like computer engineering, okay, so when we talk about computer com-eng, ibang-iba na siya sa EE because of what we call skills and specialization. Okay? Now, when I say versatile, ganito. So, kapag graduate ka ng EE, dadagdagan mo na lang ang skill set mo ng something. Let's say, coding. Then, viola. So, that's it. So, you can push for other degree if you do that. Like for example, another example. Let's say EE plus medicine. or medical. When you do that, you have biomedical. So what's the purpose of EE in the medical field? Well, there is a huge difference because EE can design pacemakers, uh, devices in monitoring health. Okay, devices in monitoring health. You have CT scans, CT scans, other equipment, machineries, EE. Okay, so that's the reason why EE is versatile because you can add specific you can add skills or other specific specialization, making it robust. Okay, so that's it. Now, what kind of EE do we offer here in RSU? I think that's a very good question. What kind of EE do we offer? What kind of EE do we offer here? Okay. In many schools in the Philippines, there are several specializations. So when we talk about EE, okay, as I remember in TIP, there is electronics. Power electronics. This is power electronics. There is I forgot. Let's check. Let's check to be sure. TIP, electrical engineering. Okay. Okay. Quezon City Engineering. Let's check UP. Okay. Yeah, power electronics, computing and communications. Okay, yeah. So they have two. Okay, so they have two. You have microprocessors, I believe so. You have communications. What else? Communications, computing and communications. Okay. What else is that? I believe there will come the time that EE will major in energy, um, power engineering, plus energy storages or renewable energy storage. Okay, let's talk about each one of them. But before that one, these are the available specialization. Now, the question is, what kind of specialization do we have here in RSU? Okay, so we have here. So this is what we have, and this is what we have. Okay, so we have renewable energy, and we have also power engineering. But it's not really specific, You're not going to be graduating Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering major in energy or renewable energy. No, it's gonna be a generic. So it's gonna be a generic one. So it means that we already incorporated some of the aspects of energy, renewable energy, and power engineering in one of your subjects. So yeah. So unlike other schools, they are very explicit on what on the major. So let's say BSEE major in microprocessor. So they're very explicit, but here in RSU we're not. Okay. we're not, because it's not doesn't really matter in that sense. Now let's discuss each and one of them. Now when we talk about EE, major in electronics, so these are guys who design electronic devices. Okay, so what kind of electronic devices? This can be computer. Okay, this can be computer. This can be power inverters. Power inverters such as this, yeah, such as this one. So power inverters, many other things, and they can also design equipment for transmission and distribution. Okay, so how about microprocessors? So microprocessors, so these are, can be somehow relevant to robotics. Okay, this can be somehow related to robotics. How about for communication? So this is also similar to ECE. So they're basically the same in terms of specialization, but they're ECE or EE. So in energy or renewable energy, so obviously you have the knowledge of wind, solar, and etc. Other, right, like hydro. So, but more specifically, when I say it, we focus on solar. We focus on solar and wind. So when we say power engineering, so this is, you're going to work in the power plants. You're going to work in the transmission. You're also going to work in the distribution. So when we say power engineering, these are the guys in Chelco, Suveco, so Meralco, and GCP. So these are the guys. So when you say energy storage, this is a very niche program, because this is a very weird program if you ask me, but not yet really established in the Philippines. Energy storage is more on designing batteries for applications like electric vehicles, electric cars, electric airplanes, whatsoever. So they design battery systems for those. So energy storage is energy storage. So this is the specialization of the EE. Now, as I already mentioned before, you can add skill sets. So when I say skill set, these are add-ons. So parang bumili ka ng parang bumili ka ng spicy chicken with spaghetti, tapos nag-add-on ka ng Coke float. So yung Coke float na yun, kapag sinama mo dun, syempre parang iba na yun. So parang ganun. It's more on ano ba? So if you graduate EE in the EE degree, this is ito yung mga skill set mo. Now, if you're going to study again, if you want to study again to add another skill set, and that's actually very, very good. Okay. Now, those are the purely academics in the opportunity. How about in work? As I mentioned before, it is very versatile, because you can work in basically any kinds of field, provided that you add skill, na additional skill or expertise. Okay, so when you do this, you are highly profitable. That makes you different from all of the other EEs, and that will make you very good. Okay, so you can go abroad, you can go local, you can go basically anywhere. If you want to go to Mars, you can go to Mars. So that's all I'm saying. Now, I think that's it for the video. I already had the grades, I believe so, and yeah, close this one. So I already had the grades of you guys, especially those who took the special exam. Yeah, so you have the grades, and I think it's final. I'm going to publish it in the registrar's office. So yeah, so anyway, congrats. I really believe that you enjoyed your stay here, even if you don't really enjoy it because of the remote learning sessions. So I know it's really difficult for you to learn in this kind of setup, but it's also difficult for me, all of us as your teachers. So I guess that's it for the video. Yeah, bye bye.